We're focusing on the most extreme form, manic depression.
Jason Pegler was diagnosed at just 17 years old, and his bouts of mania caused him to become so delusional that he painted his friend's carpet blue and washed his own hair in tomato soup.
Well, thankfully, Jason has now beaten his depression, and he joins us now along with consultant psychiatrist Neil Hunt, and they are here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And it's very nice to meet you both. Thank you very much for coming in.
Nice to see you.
So you were a straight A student, and rugby player, chess champion. So school initially was perfectly fine.
So I absolutely enjoyed it. Enjoyed going to school. Was good upbringing, good grammar school. I was always quite creative when I was younger, and seems had quite a quick mind. But then when I was 17, when I was taking my A-levels, I was actually revising for Oxford University entrance exam, and I'd overworking and actually taken some ecstasy at a nightclub. I took 2 ecstasy tablets and didn't seem to come down, and 2 or 3 weeks later I ended up in extremely manic and being taken into hospital. And
what were you doing? What did you do?
Well, I gradually had these different kinds of thoughts where I thought I was extremely creative, and I had this amazing kind of self-confidence, but at the same time I had this kind of paranoia beneath me. So I thought that a nuclear war was going on and I was the only person in the world that could stop it. I thought that I was head of the European Hardcore Committee, which was something that I'd created in my mind to create world peace. So I thought metaphorically that I'd taken 6 billion ecstasy tablets, 1 for everyone in the world, and that was my way of as being a raver at the time of helping world peace.
When these things are going on in your head, what was the outward sign to the people that you were with?
I was talking to my friends about it, and they were obviously just people were very listening to me, but obviously thinking, Jason's gone crazy. But people were still being nice to me, and it was my family were really concerned. My father took me to my GP, didn't know what to do, and it wasn't until basically I thought I was jealous I couldn't play the guitar as well as Jimi Hendrix, so I actually threw my guitar out of the window where I lived, and my dad called the police and the ambulance because they were just so worried about me. And then they gave me the option of, I wasn't arrested or anything, they said, look, would you like to go into the ambulance or would you like to go into the police car? And I thought I was playing a game, so I said, I'll go into the police car. And it wasn't until 6 weeks later that I'd been in a mental hospital in Gloucester for 6 weeks. I didn't realise until 6 weeks later actually where I was, and I just had this kind of vision, epiphany 6 weeks later, oh my God, I'm in a mental hospital. And but straight away I realised that I could cope with it mentally. I thought the only way I'm ever going to get over this is to psychoanalyse myself and create a Hollywood blockbuster movie about my experiences, because I wanted to be a film director at the time. I was a big fan of Quentin Tarantino. And at the same time I looked at everyone in the ward and I felt I need to help these people, because I felt humiliated for being in there, and that was something that wrong. So having manic depression is something that it changed me as a person, because until then it was a joke with my friends, loony bin, have a few drinks, and it completely changed me. It made me.
So you'd had episodes, did you, before this major one with the ecstasy?
No, it's kind of gradual. So what happened is over a period of weeks I become more delusional, more manic. And I say it's a bit like the Mona Lisa, the painting. So it's kind of, it has this amazing beauty about it, but it's something creepy about it at the same time.
And mysterious and unfathomable.
Absolutely.
So you had this period in psychiatric care, and you came out and you retook your A-levels and got to university, and through university drinking and things you were also having episodes, and I think when you did your finals and the graduation you were in hospital and being cared for and given lots of drugs. But the episode that was perhaps the biggest one was when you finally came to London, having graduated and had a job, and your brother came to stay, I think, and he noticed that your actions weren't normal at all?
Well, that was my last episode, so that was the 4th. So altogether I had 4 episodes, just about a year in hospital and 2 years suicidal coming out of it. It's like, how can you come to terms with having those kind of thoughts? It's the only way. It's very, very difficult. So that episode was the last one that I had, and I can remember being in my flatmate's house, and like as you said in the introduction, I poured a can of soup over my head. But when you're manic, you're in this, at that level, you're in everything. Mind's completely different. You can't imagine what it's like to experience things like that. It's just, it's
terrifying. I would have thought at times when you.
Absolutely. It's kind of a sort of, magical terror.
Yeah.
And I think that, but of course, that was 6-7 years ago, and then things got better then.
Well, I mean, in that particular episode that Fern was talking about, I sort of made a list of the things that happened there. This is when you ate the 24 eggs, you gave the cat the fried breakfast, you thought the CDs were flying saucers, you thought the flat was becoming Noah's Ark, so you were building a bridge, you painted the carpet blue, all these sort of things, which the people around you must have been very disturbed at your behaviour.
I'm concerned.
My brother was obviously, really concerned. What happened is my flatmate was out at the time, so and my brother wasn't there. He just popped round really. So I'd completely everything in the flat. I'd different colours I'd put in different rooms. So I'd like reorganise the flat, and I thought I was telepathically working with George Lucas to make the manic Star Wars.
It's a horrendous illness, also known as bipolar, more recently. And you've been well for 6 years, I think. 6-7 years.
As soon as I started writing about my experiences and wrote A Can of Madness, my first book, then that...
Well, there it is, and it's a very robustly written adult book, so just to let you know, but brilliant at the way it describes what's going on. You've also been medication free for a couple of years, and life is on track.
Absolutely, for 2.5 years. As soon as I started writing my book, I set up a publishing company to Chipmunkapublishing to publish mental health stories, and it's a charitable organisation, so we've published.
Well, we'll put details of that on our website. Now, obviously, as we were saying all the way through the week, Neil, we can't hope to do a depression in 8-10 minutes, but this is all about highlighting, spotting when there may be a problem, and also saying that if you have these issues, then don't keep them to yourself. You must talk to someone about it.
Well, Jason's given a marvellous description of being manic. He hasn't talked about the depressions, but often the depression side of it is the worst side, and people get very prolonged and severe depressions when they have manic depression. And suicide is a big issue, and I know Jason's feels this is a very important issue to highlight as well.
Yeah, well, 2 years you were suicidal, and a million suicides a year or something, aren't there, due to depressions around the world?
I don't know the number for that, I'm afraid, but it's about 10-15% of people with manic depression do kill themselves.
It's horrific. I think it's because people feel like that they have a problem for life. So when I was 17, I said, look, the day I left hospital after 6 months, they said, you've got manic depression. It's like a life sentence. You feel like that. It's like being in prison when you haven't done anything wrong. So there's a lot of stigma. But what helped me was neuro-linguistic programming. Helped me really. I changed my life. I really focused my life and made positive changes. So I changed the diet. I changed my relationships. I made sure that I was happy in what I did. And these are techniques that.
And rest and sleep
absolutely.
And eat properly and look after
really help
yourself.
And physically fit sport and things like that.
Neil, your book here is called Your Questions Answered, Bipolar Disorder, and I'm very sorry time has caught up with us, Neil, but all of this information will be on our website. It's manic or bipolar depression, our website itv.com/thismorning. We'll look forward to seeing you after the news, and see you just after this.